Hi, I'm Tina Ann Middleton, author of the Forestville series. I'd like to welcome you today to the writing journey, where we inspire and encourage each other in the craft of writing. Today, I'll be discussing another one of my favorite authors, Frank Peretti. We'll be right back. Frank Peretti is often called one of American Christianity's best-known authors. He writes novels for children. He wrote the wild and wacky, totally true Bible stories. And then for the older children, he wrote a series called the Cooper Kids series. It may be for children, but I've read it too, and it was fascinating. For the adults, he also writes multitudes of books. Now, the one that got me started was this one right here, This Present Darkness. Then it was followed up by Piercing the Darkness. These two go together. Some of the characters from here show up in this one. And basically in both of them, it's a battle of two levels. You've got the good guys versus the bad guys at the human level. And then you got angels and demons at the spiritual level. I love it. He also wrote The Oath, which that one's intense. And also The Visitation. And then another one I read is called Monster. Now, these books like this, if you're impressionable like I am, and your brain latches onto things like mine does, I would not read these close to bedtime. You will not sleep. He did write some other books that are not quite so scary. This is one that we have, Prophet. There's another one, Tilly, and then one that I recently found, it's called Illusion, a novel. And that one is fascinating. It involves magic and somebody tampering with the timeline. And that's all I'm going to tell you because I don't want to do any spoilers. Now, how I found him was I was in a bookstore and I saw this book. Now, I see a new book and I have to pick it up and look at it. But the cover, and then when I first read the first few pages, it was kind of scary. I'm like, no, and I put it back. But I'm not sure how long it was later, I picked it up again. Maybe I'd heard about it or read about it, and this time I read it. I was hooked. I have reread this book and Piercing the Darkness multiple times. But I read this one, and when I saw that the second one, Piercing the Darkness, had released, I had to get it. I think my husband was planning on buying it for me as a gift, and I kind of spoiled his surprise when I asked him to get it for me before then. I'm kind of bad about that sort of thing. I'm glad, though, that I picked that book up because that just... I know I use this a lot when I'm telling you about my favorite authors, but this is what makes them my favorite. They just pull me into the story. There have been times when my imagination gets going, I can imagine myself there. You might say, okay, well, tell me some more about this book. I'll be glad to. It's about a small town, some strange happenings going on. And somebody's trying to take over the town. I mean, the land. Buy the whole kit and caboodle. But they don't want to pay, usual price for it. So there's illegal dealings going on, and they're trying to get rid of the pastor of this small church because he preaches the gospel. He preaches against sin. And they try to use the editor of the small town newspaper, reporter. It's a small town paper. And when he won't be used, they're trying to get rid of him too. At the spiritual level, we got angels, we got demons, and they're fighting it out, and it describes the scenes. In Piercing the Darkness, we have a young woman who used to be caught up in all this demonic stuff, and she has gotten out of it. And there are forces that are pursuing her, trying to kill her. She's trying to find the truth. In the meantime, others who get caught up in this pursuit are discovering things. And a couple of the characters from this book show up in Piercing the Darkness, which I know I mentioned that a little while ago. I wanted to give you a little more in depth on that. So what is it I like so much about Frank Peretti's books? Why do they pull me in, like I said? Well, one thing that I really like is the presentation of spiritual warfare. While the writing channel is not completely devoted to the gospel, I am a Christian, and I want to share my Christian beliefs with you. That's part of my writing. Spiritual warfare is a real thing. And even if it's only in a fiction book, excuse me, even if it's only in a fiction book, it's real, and it's presented as real. So that really grabs me. The action, boom, 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 it moves along. You know, it is an incredible book. His stories are the kind I'll be sitting there reading, and I probably should have been up doing dishes or dusting or something, getting ready for bed, and I'm like, one more chapter. Let me keep reading. And the books just grab hold. The characters, he makes those characters seem so real, you can see them standing in front of you. The angels, you know, you read the description of these angelic warriors, and you can picture, hey, this is my warrior. He's with me. You could also picture the demons. Ooh, he describes those very well. In The Oath, there's a dragon. That's all I'm going to tell you. There's a dragon. And he describes that dragon. Kind of makes you not sure you want to step out that door after dark. There's a little bit of humor, too. In the book Monster, one of the characters is captured by a creature who is treating her like she's this creature's baby. And in the story, the creature's baby had been killed. The creature finds her. She's about the right size, so looky there. She just became the baby. Well, this creature wants to give her a bath, so it licks her. And when they get to a stream of water, she's wanting to get that slobber off of her, so she's over there washing. And she hears a sound and looks downstream, and that creature is washing its mouth out like it's trying to get rid of a bad taste. So just a little bit of humor, you know, I love it. If you like edge of seat suspense, battles of good versus evil, or thought-provoking fiction, I would urge you to pick up one of Frank Peretti's books. I'm so glad I picked this book up again and gave it a second chance. I'm glad that Frank Peretti continues to write this riveting kind of suspense. And you know what? I want to keep writing too. Will you join me? Have a great week.